Coming to this video today, I'm just going to be making a comprehensive iCC breakdown. So in iCC, the basic idea is that if this is your high, then price makes a move down, okay, and then it breaks above that same high. All you are waiting for in iCC, all you're waiting for, if price goes underneath the level, all you're waiting for is for price to come above that same level, okay? That is all you're waiting for. You're waiting for price to come above this zone, okay? Then after price comes above that zone, for instance, if this is price and it comes above this zone, you take your entries based off of just that idea that price is likely, after going above your zone, it's now likely that price is able to push even higher. So the whole idea is that we are all just looking forward for price to come and go back to the same level as it was before, okay? So the same idea, the same principle works even here. Just look at this area over here, okay? Price came, okay? If you observe, we had a movement to the top, we created a higher high, okay? And then after some time, which this was okay, so we created a higher high over there, then price made a pullback, okay? This was the pullback. Oh, this is the H4, so it takes lots of time for price to do this. And after some time, we had an indication, okay? An indication is simply whereby price is showing you that, hey, there are buyers above this level and you're willing to take the price even higher, okay? So that's the indication move. And then afterwards, we had this massive liquidity grab, okay? In most of the cases, the mistake that I used to make back in the day is that most people, once they see this break of structure, they in their minds they start thinking, oh, price has made a change of structure, that means that price is likely now to start selling continuously, and then they look for lower levels, they look for maybe like a fair value gap here, and then they be like, oh, price has to sell all the way up to that zone. No, my friend, if you are to follow market structure and if you are following how the market moves, you observe that this previous low wasn't affected by the market. If price came and took out that low, I can assure you that your sale would have been valid, okay? But price has not taken out a major structural point. What does that mean? All that I'm waiting for right now is for price to come above this same level as it did before. By this indication move, anything above this level is good for buys, okay? We had the indication, now we are all only looking for a trading opportunity, okay? So go to the H1. So go to the H1 to just confirm your move, okay? So in the H1, okay, after you went to the H1, realize that after the corrective move, price now started pushing higher, okay? So we had this structure here, another structure point is here. This is a higher low, okay? So these are all higher lows and price has been respecting them. Once price went above our level, we would have started to enter in our buy entries, aiming for at least a 1 to 2, or whatever the case may be. But the thing is that after price goes above our level the second time, we can assuredly know that we are in for some good entries for buys, okay? But yeah, that's how CHF JPY is looking. But if you go to the H4, I always recommend that you go to the high time frame so that you can know your structure points, okay? So once I go to the H4, currently we see that price actually made a higher high over here. If you observe, price actually did indeed take out that higher high, okay? That means that anything above this higher high is good for buys, okay? Anything above that higher high. So if price comes above this level or ever again, we may have to take our entries for buys. As simple as that, okay? You don't have to complicate stuff. But then what are we waiting for? We are waiting for another move. We want to see so for instance, let's say you knew, for instance, it's not like always that you have to wait for price to always come above that level. You can always say that once price reached this zone over here, it started to sell, okay? So once price again reached that level the second time, that would have been your entry for sale. So it's not always like you have to take market one way, But just to keep things very simple, once price is in a bullish momentum, once price is pushing up, okay, pushing to the way up, it's crucial that you also take the initiative to put your entries based off of the overall structure, okay. But yeah, that's how CHF is looking. We had a major structure here, okay, so this is a lower low, okay, and then this is a break of structure. So but anything above this level is good for buys, okay. That's what this level is always telling me. Anything above this level is good for buys, okay. And I know some people will be like, but how comes that we are having selling momentum here? Well, I'll tell you for a fact, price already made a new higher high. So what does that mean? That means that price is likely to even have a continuation. For instance, if you observe, this was another level over here. Price came and broke through it and made a new higher high. Okay, this was another minor structure over here. Okay, price came above it and made a new higher high. So once price formed underneath the first zone over here, once price came over under, this was the first implication that we are going to sell, okay. And then after we pushed upward, then we came back the second time underneath that same level, so we'd have taken your sales from that area, okay. And then for people who want to be trading even to the maximum, you can look at this structure point over here. If price goes underneath that structure point, you may see a collapse in the market structure, okay, because the structure point is very close to the other, very nearby to other structures. For instance, if you observe to your left here, we have a structure point here. This was a rally based drop, okay, so it's a good point for support and resistance, okay. But yeah, that's how CHF is looking currently. For people who want to trade it, you can take your time, okay. There's no one to rush you. But I will say for a fact, if you're to trade CHF always look out for the structure points. This is another structure point. Anything underneath this level is good for sales, so you should also be aware of that. But I don't usually trade without structure, so in most of the cases I'm looking for price to break structure and then I will have a continuation, okay. So for instance, I can hold this trade if price is able to break above this zone over here. If you observe, this was the previous high, so we have an indication that price wants to push even higher because price moved above that level, okay. And also we are still respecting, if you observe, we are still respecting structure. Price that hasn't yet broken this lower low, okay. Since price hasn't broken that lower low, for people who want to be trading earlier on, you can take in your buy entry, stop loss underneath the lower low, and then you aim for at least that yellow line where I've put a yellow line, okay. But for me, I would wait for confirmation, because the way I trade, I wait for confirmation. I want to see price giving me the structure. Price should come and take out this high before I can have a continuation to the upside, okay. So it's not always that you should just enter in trades out of the blue. So we go to another pair. This is gonna be gold, and for gold, if you observe, I'd put buy stops over there, because if you observe to your extreme structure, we had a structure shift around here, okay. Price showed us that above this level we are willing to buy. And where was the previous low? The market structure low was over here. This was the previous structure low, and price is respecting it, okay. So if price keeps on respecting this structure low, then this will become the new structure, okay. This will become the new lower low, okay. Remember, this was the old lower low, so this could be the new lower low after price takes out this this area over here, because this one is where we have a drop base drop. So if price is able to take out that zone, then you can always look for entries for buys, okay. But for clarity, I also see another zone over here. If you observe, price made a drop base drop over here, so anything above this zone I'll be willing to take entries for buys. So there's nothing new over the sun. We're just repeating the same process over and over again, okay. But anything above this level, you're taking buys. That's the first clue. Anything above this level, we take buys, okay. And the TP, for most people who want to be trading the TP, you can even hold it until we break, because this is the first level of resistance, this is the second level of resistance. But we have seen in the market that anything above this zone, it always buys, okay. So that could be another good level to take your entries from. But if price fails and takes out this previous resistance, low. This is the previous major structure low. If price takes it out, then we can always be looking for entries for sales after price makes a continuation move to the downside. Okay, so I've explained a bit on gold, but for people who don't have the time to wait maybe for these higher time frame confirmations, you can go to the M15. Okay, so what do you observe on the M15? You observe that price has already made, this is a lower low. Okay, this is a lower high, and also this is a lower high. Okay, and then we also have another, so we have a lower high and then a lower low. Okay, so what is price showing you? Price is showing you that we've already had price come and break above this lower high. What does that give? It means that price is willing to break above this level. If price has the momentum, it can break up, it's willing to buy above that level, maybe make another pullback maybe, and then afterwards we shall have another push to the upside. So if you're to take your entries here, you can even enter right away here with your buys. Stop loss will be underneath this major structure point which broke the structure above, so that will be a stop loss. What I mean is that it will be around, your stop loss will be here. Okay, and then you shall be taking the market until this area over here, so that will be around 32 pips. Okay, 32, yeah, that will be around 32 pips, but yeah, from here up to here, that will be 32 pips. Okay, so you can take your entries for buys on gold. You can take your entries for buys. I can assure you that gold is going to buy, so I'll take my first entry there, and then I'll just be holding that trade for some good time. Stop loss for this trade, it can be underneath. Sorry, my network is so poor, but stop loss will be underneath this low, so it will be around 7k. TP is going to be above this area here, because we have seen that price has been showing us a clear sign that above that level it wants to do what? To continue buying. Okay, so we have to respect structure, because if you don't respect structure, nothing else will work out. Okay, so if price respects structure, this is the structure point that I'm talking about. Okay, this is the first structure point is respected, the second one is respected, and therefore we can always look for another structure point to take the market even higher. So that's it for gold. I'll probably be holding this trade until around New York session close. Okay, and then afterwards we shall see what price will be giving us. But so far you're in a loss of around 500. Don't worry, it's just about the spread and stuff. But yeah, that's it for gold. You can go back in time so that I can show you the same concept over and over again. What do you see here? Price made a higher high. This was a higher high. Okay, what did it do? It made a break above the higher high. Okay, now you can see that now you're in profit, but you just have to wait a bit, so it's not like permanent. It can go in profit and loss, and then after it's come back, so just have to be patient. But anyways, I was showing you guys that here, here, if you observe also here, price came and took out the high. Okay, so what did it do? After taking out the high, it showed you that above this level, price is actually telling you that, hey, we are buyers over here and we want to take price above this level. We are willing to take price even higher. So what do you want to see? Price pushed up. Okay, and then afterwards you could have taken your entry here, and then after you could have held your trade, and then afterwards, where do you now say, here I can stop trading? Okay, you stop trading once price now starts disrespecting the structure. Okay, this was the previous low. What does previous higher low? What has happened? Price took it out. Once price takes out the previous lower higher low, okay, it makes a new lower low. Okay, that means that the market has already shifted. Okay, it has given you signs that it wants to shift, and once price gives you sign that it wants to shift, you don't have to fight it. Okay, you don't have to fight it at all. We see that you're already in 1k, 900, 1k there. Let's wait a bit, but you don't have to fight market structure at this point, because market is already showing you that, hey, above this level I'm willing to buy. Okay, so the only aim that you have so far is just to look for market structure, and then you just take your entries based off of market structure. Okay, so for reversals, we can see that price above this level already showed you that it wants to buy. Okay, if you observe to over here, price has shown you that it wants to buy actually. It wants to buy above that level. It's willing to buy, but of course now it came over underneath, and then afterwards we had that massive sell-off. Okay, so I will be teaching you most of these principles, but I will always try my level best to explain as much as possible so that you guys can get it. Okay, I'll explain as much as possible. Okay, So over here we have the same thing. Okay, price made a higher high, it went above that higher high. Anything above this higher high is good for buys. Anything above this level is good for buys. Anything above that level is good for buys, and anything underneath that level is not good for buys, it sells. Okay, but yeah, let's wait and see how price tweets us. Okay, anything above that level is good for buys, anything underneath that level is good for sells. So we're just repeating the same process over and over again, bro. Just repeating the same thing over and over again. I'll be making more of these videos so that you guys don't get bored by my voice, and I'll hope you guys enjoy the video. Please make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next video.